Are you trying to get strong at everything or insanely good at one thing? Should you train like a generalist or a specialist? Let's break it down to help you figure out what's actually right for you. Yes, you. Yeah, you're coming along for the journey. Let's define the difference. A specialist is someone who has one moment, one opportunity to seize everything they've ever wanted. And that could be something like a full planche, where their training is primarily going to consist of a lot of straight arm work, a lot of bent arm pushing work, and a lot of time in that position. A generalist, on the other hand, is going to have different training modalities spread out across their week. They might have cardio training one day. They might have sprinting, high octane for the legs. They have a lot going on, but the general goal is to be well-rounded. So what are the pros of specialization? Well, it can give you clarity, can give you focus, and deep skill development. If your goal is planche, every part of your training is focused on that, and there's zero wasted effort. For example, you're not going to be training legs because any additional leg mass is not going to serve the goal of planche, which benefits from a lighter lower body. If you are hyper and specifically goal focused, this is perfect for you. You will get fast and measurable progress every session, every week, every month. Even though I think you can still develop this as a generalist, as a specialist, you get deep skill development and high-level mastery of the chosen goal. So this all sounds fantastic. What are the downsides to being a specialist? I think the most obvious one is going to be injuries, and those injuries can be from overuse or acute injuries because you're doing the same thing day in and day out. But they can also be from the other end of the spectrum from neglect. So if I'm planching and all I'm doing is pushing, then from lack of pulling, there might be some discrepancies that come up in the way that I move, and injuries might arise from neglect, opposite end of the overuse. We can also look at different training modalities. You might planche all the time, and then different friend groups, why are you hanging around people that don't planche? Want you to go for a hike or something that's maybe cardio based and you can't keep up. So it might just highlight that lack of ability on that broader spectrum. And that is humiliating. Being so focused on one particular thing, regardless of who you are, is much more likely to cause burnout and mental fatigue than a generalist would experience, particularly if you are having trouble with the movement, and this can be from a beginner or it can be all the way to advanced. When you only have success from one specific thing riding on your joy, then it can just more likely lead to mental fatigue within your training. And we don't want that. We want you to train all the time and never stop. Lastly, on the drawbacks, you can become dogmatic when you are obsessed with something. When it is the be-all, end-all, you might look at someone doing a tuck planche just as that skill in their beginner calisthenics program and be too militant about the approach to be actually quite vile and not pleasant to be around. I'm obsessed with planche. I have a warm-up, a cool-down, accessories, complementary bent arm strength. I know the form inside and out, and if you're not doing that, why the fuck are you doing tuck planche? Some people can just do tuck planche. I guess it's okay, but people can. And you can just risk skewing your approach and perspective based on your singularity complex. It's not necessarily a bad thing either. This is just something that can arise out of being a pure specialist. And we're trying to balance the argument, so don't worry, the generalists are getting picked apart soon. But before we pick them apart, we need to talk about the amazing things about being a generalist. And that is being good and potentially great at a lot of different things. If we look at our heroes like Goku and Vegeta and Baki, none of them are just planching. They're actually good across the board. They have amazing strength, flexibility, cardio, mobility. It's the whole package, and that inspires us to do the same. Training a lot of different things will probably make you feel better overall as a human moving through this space and world and earth and dirt and ground and sky. You'll feel better moving around and more adept at any physical challenge that comes your way. There is definitely something impressive about someone that can full planche, but there is also something impressive about someone that can run a sub 20 5K. They can also sprint. They can touch their toes. They can Okay, well, that's definitely not going. A generalist will have a more balanced body, and that is a very good thing to have. It means you can tackle any physical challenge that does come your way, and you'll very likely have a much more reduced risk of injury in your life. Being able to run a 5K under 20 minutes, being able to squat double your body weight, deadlift triple your body weight, bench press 1.5 times your body weight, hold an advanced tuck planche, can we at least have that? And hold your breath for 3 minutes. I just made that last one up. It sounds somewhat impressive. With all those attributes, it makes you more flexible to pivot to any activity you'd like to try and probably be half decent at it from the beginning. Specialists are more likely to define themselves by the goal, the skill, and the training that they do. And being a generalist gives you a much broader identity. Rather than being known as the planche guy or the runner, you're known as the touch toe, hold breath, planche, squat, deadlift, want to go for a cycle with me guy. I think I like planche guy. All right, you want to know the juicy downsides of a generalist? These guys are sacrificing depth for breadth. They will never be the best at anything that they do. They suck. As a generalist, you sacrifice some mastery, and you probably won't be the best at any one thing, and that can definitely mess with your head. If you join a powerlifting gym to squat, you'll probably find you never get close to the most committed guys there. If you join a run club, you'll find you're not going to be the one necessarily that's leading the pack. And if you get into calisthenics and your phone hears you, the algorithm is going to start to serve you skills that is going to make your mouth dry. And all that's going to make you feel like you're not making progress. But the truth is you are, it's just on a much broader spectrum, so it feels much slower. And this current young generation will not tolerate that. So what one should you be? Give me an answer, Tyson. I need to know. Define me, please. In all honesty, I think both are fine. I think that you can also combine. You can be a special... Why is my stomach is going crazy? I don't think either are bad. I think it's more defining and understanding what each represent. Choosing one that fits to your personality and to your goals. I also think it's not black and white. You don't just be a generalist. You can be a generalist that has some specialist goals that you want to achieve. And you can also be a specialist and have some general training in there to keep things fresh. I think we like to look at it like a this versus that. But I think there's just plenty of shades of grey that can fit into anyone's program and be a very healthy approach to their training. I also think it's important to understand and define what a generalist and a specialist is so that it helps us to understand the way that we're training and the pros and cons to that approach. I personally, across my whole training career, train like a generalist that has specialist goals. In the past, I have trained both calisthenics and Olympic weightlifting at the same time. And as a whole, those things serve a lot of physical training modalities. And that continues to this day. At the moment, I have full planche and an elevator on the rings as current upper body strength training goals, whilst also balancing a goal of a 60-inch standing box jump and sprinting 100 meters in less than 11.4 seconds. So you can see how this amalgamation of skill goals has created somewhat of a generalist approach to the whole thing. It's quite poetic, actually. But I can tell you, if all I did was train for that full planche, for that 100-meter sprint time, I would get there a lot sooner. But I wouldn't enjoy my training as much if I had just one singular focus. So it's all about balance and what has fit within my personality and where I derive enjoyment within movement. So do you want to be a specialist or a generalist? Ask yourself, do you want to master a skill or do you want to solo leveling your life? And just remember, neither choice is better or worse. It's just a different choice through the same terrain. We all want to train and improve. So let me know down below, do you consider yourself more a generalist or a specialist? I have a Complete Physique program, which is more a generalist approach to training, combining weightlifting and calisthenics. And I also have a Planche Primals program, which is a specialist way of training for the skill of planche. If either of those interest you, links are in the description and probably within this video. I'll see you guys for the next one.